Bermuda, Bahamas, come on, pretty mama. Mark, you called all the disaster that was your trip. We're going to talk about it, but you predicted it all.
It was somehow the worst and best 4-day trip ever.
All that coming up right now on MTM Travel. So welcome back to the United States, Mark, after your whirlwind trip to Bermuda. Spring break, you talked on this show about all the flight changes ahead of time, and you were worried with the TSA and the wider world events. Did you even fathom that it could go as wrong as it did?
No, I did. There's a lot of firsts on this trip, but yeah, I did not expect us to. It took us so long to get to Bermuda. It was a crazy day.
So let's get right into it because there's a lot to cover. Your flights, your hotels. We're going to talk about all of it to give people some great idea on why Bermuda and why visit there. But you started with a Spirit flight. I know you did your whole overnight in New York at the Hyatt Regency at Resorts World at JFK. How did all that go?
Yeah, we ended up booking the Spirit flight for, I think it was 10,000. No, it's like 12,500 miles a person. Like I said, everything into New York area was crazy. We flew into LaGuardia. Spirit once again pulled back ahead of schedule, landed ahead of schedule. They get me there on time more than AA or United, which is crazy to say. But one thing I did find kind of interesting when we were boarding, we all had backpacks because we were flying Spirit, and I was a little bit worried because it was 4 days worth, and every backpack was bulging out. Probably would not have fit into the thing for the personal carry-on thing. But my wife has the credit card. That's how we got the miles. So we boarded with group 2, and they're like, make sure that your bag fits in this thing. We will be checking. If you're in group 3 or 4, we will be checking. So I wonder if they just assume group 2 bought baggage, because that's usually how you get into group 2 unless you're a credit card holder. So they didn't even look at us. And I wonder, I'm going to test this out if we fly them again while she still has the card, and just try to roll a bag on and see if they say anything. I think that would be really interesting. I wonder if they just wait until you get to like group 3 or maybe even group 4 before they start being like, oh, nope, you're not supposed to have that here. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but got to New York, went to the Resorts World Hyatt Regency, which is a really nice airport hotel attached to a really weird casino. We talked about that a lot on the Vegas show if you want to check it out. But I thought it was a really good use of a free night cert, category 4, $15K a night. I didn't go to the lounge, which I know you said is really good. Besides the check-in agent being a jerk, it was great.
Yeah, I really like that hotel. I didn't get to experience too much of the lounge, but it's a nice area. They have signs everywhere in the lounge, don't take your food out. So it's that kind of place where people are taking food. But I thought it was like more of an international style new Hyatt Regency compared to a lot that you have in the US. I know, it's funny you say that with Spirit. When Frontier, for years, I was flying them with all the status matches and stuff, and I never saw them check people's bags. And it was because I was always boarding in the earlier groups. And then one time I was doing the flight and I got there late. And so I just waited till the end when boarding was done, and they checked every single person's bag getting on. And I was like, oh, so I've just been missing it because I'm getting on too early.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's like a little play if you fly Spirit enough, or if you know, let us know down in the comments. Like, hey, yeah, this does work. Like, just bring your roller bag, don't pay for it. I will check it out. It will stink when I have to pay the $100 or whatever they hit you for on boarding, but I think it would be kind of fun to see how it plays.
Yeah, then you can fight with the agent, get into the whole tradition of that happening. But yeah, I think it really is boarding. I think it's the groups and that they're meant to look for it, because if you don't have a paid bag, that you get put in, at least with Frontier, and I'm sure it probably works the same with Spirit. But yeah, we talked about the Hyatt Regency JFK before. I agree with you. Great use of certs. I got an easy suite upgrade. You had 2 rooms, and yeah, we talked about it on the Vegas show so people can dive into it and why the casino is so quirky and everything else there. But also fairly convenient for JFK. It doesn't have a shuttle, but I told you that I took the air train to the last stop, and it's only like an $8 to $10 Uber, or what was it, like $25 direct to the airport?
Yeah, it was like 25, $30, somewhere in that range. We did get up at 3 a.m. We had a 7:50 a.m. flight. We got up at 3, left at like 3:30, 3:45, because this was when TSA was at like peak craziness. So we wanted to get there early. I know like 5 a.m. is kind of when most people get there. So I figured that's when the big rush starts. So we walked in like just before 4, and man, it was chaos. I've never seen anything like it that early in the morning. there was hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people in there at like, and they were there before us. And it was so confusing because there was all these lines, and I'm like, well, is this the line we're supposed to get in? Is this the one? Because you can't see anything. There's just a mass of people. Most of the lines were people waiting to check bags, which I thought was so weird. It looked like there was an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of line to check the bags. And I don't know if they just didn't open until later or what was going on there, but I couldn't imagine sitting in that line for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then just watching security get worse and worse. So we ended up going in there was the pre-check line and the priority line were the same. They just pushed them all together. So that was a little confusing. And then when you got through the initial step, then it broke off where priority went this way, TSA pre-check went that way. The main line was over to the side. Didn't look too bad. But it was backing up. It took us like 45, 50 minutes to get through all the way. And that's like pre-check was probably taking around that time we went through priority. It looked a bit shorter, but I don't know that it ended up being any quicker. They only had like 3 check areas open, one for pre-check, one for priority, and one person doing regular. And it was ICE agents. They were moving people through fairly quickly. And then there was ICE agents, on the belt moving your bags along, and then regular airport employees were there too. And then TSA was basically bumped back to doing the scanning and getting you through the metal detector and stuff like that. So it's just kind of crazy. You're like, all right, so if you only have 3 of these things open and there's only like 2 or 3 TSA agents, you only needed 8 or 9. That's all we have? We couldn't open up more?
Yeah, it's called security theater, Mark. Yeah, so you bring the ICE agents in so you have like 3 times the amount of people you need for 1/3 of the things. I don't know. TSA sucks. We've already gotten to that debate and triggered a bunch of commenters. I still think TSA should be a government agency. Mark thinks they should privatize it, but either way, it's not working so well now. But you finally got on the plane, right? I mean, you got on the plane, you're flying over the ocean. Next thing, you land right in Bermuda, right?
No, yeah. So we went to the AA lounge for a couple hours. We got through quicker than we expected, board the flight on time, pull back, take off, and we're going into land. And I'm like, oh, it looks beautiful. Awesome. Everything's on time. And the plane, as we're going down the land, is like wobbling, like it's crazy, going back and forth, back and forth. I thought the wing was going to hit the ground at one point. It was pretty bad. And all of a sudden you just hear him rev up and the plane starts to take off again. My wife's like, what the heck is happening? And I said, well, he couldn't land it, so we're going back around.
We're going to take a quick break from Mark's Bermuda story to talk about Melio, sponsor of this video, and we have a great offer for MTM Travel viewers and listeners.
Yeah, Melio is a business-to-business payment processor, and what's cool about it is it lets you make payments with credit cards for things that you normally couldn't pay. Like if your contractor's cash only or check only, Melio will send them a payment and you can bill your credit card. There is a 2.9% fee when you do that. If you do it through your bank account, there's no fee. So you have a couple options. And with the MTM affiliate link sign up, you get $200 cash back after making your first $500 plus payment. So you'll get hit with like a $15 fee, but you're getting $200 to try out the service. And we appreciate everybody that's willing to do that and make your payments, simplify your life, and Melio's there for you.
Yeah, great way to hit some spend that you need, pocket some money, very easy. Check out the link down below, helps support the show. Thanks to Melio for their partnership.
And thanks to everybody that uses our link. And I thought we'd probably do this a couple times. And as soon as we take off, they're like, yeah, we're going to go back around one more time. And then if we don't land, you're going back to New York. And everybody's like, what?
Well, that's the problem, right? If you're going somewhere where you're in the middle of the ocean, and I didn't think about it, but there's probably no alternative airports that are close to there. That means that they have to leave with enough fuel to get there, and then enough fuel for a certain amount of go-arounds, which it seems like is 1 in your case, and then enough fuel to get back. Normally, you would have diversion airports, but probably New York is just as close as anything else. So it's kind of an interesting thing that you never think about, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and then we went back the second time, same thing, and my wife was like, she's like, I don't know that I can ever fly into there again because I'm always going to be thinking about that. And it was a super windy day, and that's when the guy next to her, as we go to land but don't land and start taking off, he just yelled, "Oh, F," like super loud.
Well, thank you for not saying it.
Not making you beep it. Yeah. So we go back in the air. And the kids are like, what is happening? I'm like, well, we're going back to New York. And so that was my first flight to nowhere. I don't know that many people get to take one of those, but we went back to New York. I feel like we got back quicker. I don't know if they like really revved it up or if we hit a jet stream or what was going on, but it seemed like a pretty quick flight back. So 4 hours, nothing. Well, probably like 4.5, 5 hours with the go around, nothing to account for it. Another flight from Charlotte, tried to land, had to go back to Charlotte. The sad thing is a Delta flight landed like an hour and a half after us. And if they would have just delayed the flight, knowing that there was high winds, but they were going to die down later in the afternoon, we would have been fine. They wouldn't have wasted all that fuel. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they didn't know until we were already out, but it seems like everybody knew the wind was really bad and they were like, screw it, let's go try. So I don't blame the pilots. I think they did exactly what they needed to do to keep everybody safe. I do blame air traffic controller, American Airlines, whatever, that they didn't say, well, let's bump it back like 2-3 hours and just go in. So on the flight home, I'm messaging. I'm like, let's just go home. Like, I'm not going through that TSA crap again in the morning. I'm not going to get up early and fight through all that. I'm not doing another 3 a.m. morning. I don't want to stay at the stupid Hyatt Regency again. I'm messaging American Airlines. Hey, I'm supposed to fly home on Wednesday. Can you just fly me home now? This flight's we're going back. And they're like, okay. And we're going back and forth. And then they come out over the intercom. So I give them credit for this. They're like, hey, we're going to go land. And then you're going to go back out, get a new crew. You're going to go out at 6 p.m. So originally you're supposed to leave at 7:50 a.m., not leave until 6 p.m. now.
Well, I mean, they're getting you back out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I've landed in like Hawaii on some really crazy things, and those crosswinds, it's strange because it happens in Vegas too. Those crosswinds as you get really low to the runway. I've just learned this from watching YouTube videos, honestly, but it gets very dangerous. And yeah, it can overturn the aircraft. You can do a lot of things. And I would imagine that airport there is pretty exposed, or I mean, the whole area, that whole place is pretty exposed.
Wide open.
So,
put up some walls. Let's put up some windbreaks, something. I don't know. But
you made it, right? Eventually?
Yeah. So we went back and hung out at the same lounge again for like 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever it was. Spent way too much time in American Airlines lounges on this trip. And the food wasn't great, and it's just not. They don't have the Admirals clubs are not very good lounges. So we go back out 6 p.m. and as we're boarding, I'm like, I do not want to deal with this on the way home. I don't want to go. Originally, we're supposed to fly into JFK, then hop in a cab, go up to LaGuardia. Would have had to go back through security again. The TSA mess probably would have been okay, but I was just like, I don't want to deal with that. So I'm looking for flights that. And we would be adding another flight, but we weren't going to get home until like 10:30 p.m. flying out of LaGuardia because it was like the last flight out. And so I found a flight that goes to Bermuda, JFK, JFK to DCA, DCA to Detroit. And it was like 17,500 miles a person. Originally, I booked 8,000 Bermuda to JFK and then 4,500 Alaska from LaGuardia to Detroit. I'm like, all right, then we don't have to leave TSA. We don't have to deal with it. We'll do TSA in Bermuda. It'll be super easy. We get home even like 20 minutes earlier. So I'm going to book this. So I canceled everything as we're boarding. And then sitting there like the internet's not fully functioning, like spinning. And I'm like, no, I got to get this locked in before it disappears. Worrying that it's going to be like, not actual space. It was on American. I couldn't book it on Alaska because it was Phantom Space on Alaska. So it gave me pause, but ended up rebooking it, locked that all in. So I was happy with that, though. I knew that going home, we wouldn't have to deal with it, but it ends up being a problem later on. But there was a comment, you like to change your flights. I like to change my flights. And the comment's like, I could never travel with you guys because you change your trip plans too much.
Well, I'm not in this level. I'm not on this level at all.
Well, yeah, but okay. We were supposed to go to Istanbul, but world events and everything. That's why we pivoted off of that. This was also kind of world events. We pivoted off of this because TSA was such a mess. And it might have been okay by then. I think payments had started rolling out. But I wanted to just safeguard against it. I didn't want to have to deal with it. And so normally, but when you use miles and points, and I know there's quite a few people that watch the show from Vegas that maybe aren't as into miles and points. When I use miles and points, I book the first thing I find that's decent, knowing that it's maybe not the best deal. If it's the best deal, great. Lock it in, never touch it again. If I know it's just okay, then I'm going to keep trying to check to see if I can get it better, whether that's flight times, whether that's routing, whether that's different airlines, whatever it be. But I know you do that similar thing. So it seems like we're doing a lot worse than we are, but that's part of miles and points is getting what you can get and then try to make it better.
Yeah, I'll talk about this maybe next week about my upcoming cruise. And I wasn't doing that. I was still waiting for something better. And then I lost something that was decent, not what I really wanted, but then I ended up like, I better get something locked in for as like a worst case scenario, and then hope for something better. I think that, especially now, because it's not as easy to find flights as it used to be. Even last minute. I mean, I've been the king of last minute flights and I'm struggling with it. I think planning ahead is better, but yeah, I think that we've all found times where you can upgrade to something better along the way, and so why not be open to that?
Yeah, and that's I want to make that point because I thought it was a good comment and kind of funny too. But this is the last two trips have been out of my control. The only reason I adjusted, I was perfectly fine with the bookings originally, but with the TSA stuff, I wanted it to avoid it if possible. So we get in 9 p.m., 10 o'clock, something like that. Hop in the cab, go right to the Fairmont Hamilton Princess, check in, booked a suite there. This is the one that charged me cash up front and took my points, like $700. The room was 850 normally. I think I used 32,000 points, and it was supposed to cost me $6. So we have this junior suite. It's near downtown. Not the most Bermuda-y feeling because you're on the marina. You're not on a beach. They do have a beach club that's 20 minutes away. But we checked in, go up to the room, and for $850, I was so unimpressed with this room.
Doesn't that suck? I mean, after all
Yeah.
that, like you want to walk in and you want to open the door and you have like the sound of angels in there and you want this room where you're so like impressed with it because it's Fairmont and it's in Bermuda, and yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks when that happens.
Yeah, and it looked like it was nice in the 70s or 80s, like, and they haven't touched it since. It was clean. There was no issues with it. If I was staying there, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's just when you're charging $850, you expect something like the beds. The bedposts are like the 1978 wood bedposts with the low bottom, but the sides, the posts go way up, and the tops of them were like falling off. Like you could move them and they wiggled, and I tried to like screw it back in, but just like sawdust was coming out. I don't know if they have termites or what the heck's going on there, or if it's just really old. But that was bad. The bathroom was older, and I'm like, hey guys, we're only here for one night. Don't worry about it. We'll go downtown. We'll check that out in the morning. We hopped on the ferry to the Royal Naval Dockyards, went around, did some shopping there, ate out there, came back, and then checked out. Like, I don't know that I'd go back to Bermuda and stay at this hotel just because of the location. It feels more businessy, like you're there for business. You want to be close to downtown. We didn't go to the beach club. We didn't have time. Maybe that's great. It is a 20-minute ride away, which is kind of annoying. So that's something you have to consider. But it is one of the few places you can use points on the island, which kind of stinks. It is nice to be close to downtown. There's tons of shopping, tons of restaurants, things like that. But I will say, like, first impressions, Bermuda feels like a Caribbean island that Bahamas, all the other things, but it feels elevated. Like, I don't know if you got this feeling too. It feels nicer, more developed, like the British influence. The roads were very nice. There wasn't things breaking apart. There wasn't trash anywhere. It was like pretty pristine.
Yeah, people are very nice there too. I
Yeah.
really liked it, and I like the Royal Dockyards area. That's where the cruise ships stop for
Hmm.
people who are ever going to cruise there. So that's where I sort of was my home base for the day I was there. And then, like you said, there's ferries that go between the capital, and you can get all around from there on ferries. So it makes it super easy to get around. There's buses. And so I found, like, even though I was there for a day off of a cruise ship, I saw a lot of Bermuda. There was things I didn't get to see, like caves and things like that. But as far as being like accessible, easy to get around, safe, it felt very safe, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Super safe.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and the Royal Naval Dockyards, it's like old buildings, look like they're old military buildings. So that's kind of cool. They put shops into some of them. You walk around. It's just got cool architecture out there. It's very touristy, but hey, that's what you're there for. I think it was $29 for the four of us to ride the ferry from downtown, which is 5 minutes away from the hotel, from downtown there and back for the round trip. So we did that, spent a couple hours, ate at like the Frog and Onion, which was really cool, like inside the old building. They had this huge, massive fireplace that you could walk in. You could be like I could be on your shoulders and we could almost walk into this fireplace. That's how tall it was. And they had like a table kind of set up inside of it. The food was solid. It wasn't anything like to write home about, another touristy place, but I thought it was better than you would expect in an area like that. And the inside, they had like an arcade in the back and everything, so it was kind of fun. And we spent a couple hours there. They had good shops for buying, your sweatshirts, t-shirts, all those things. And then headed back and hopped into the cab, and I was very excited to go to the Rosewood. I didn't really sell it to my family. I was like, hey, the next place will be better, don't worry. But I didn't like oversell it.
And so Rosewood is one of those brands that has grown a lot in I've seen a lot of them. We've talked about it, but I haven't stayed at one. But yeah, I mean, I've only ever heard amazing things about it. So I would definitely be excited. And I hope after everything we've done to this point, flying flights to nowhere, the Fairmont sucking,
Yeah.
I hope the Rosewood was good.
Yeah, you walk in, so we get dropped off and you pull up. It's a huge compound. They have golf courses, housing. It's in Tucker's Point, which is like the most exclusive place to live on the island and everything. Just right by the airport, which is kind of nice if for the flight out and everything. And we pull in, and you can just tell, you're like, okay, this is gonna be nice. Like, we pull up to the hotel, you walk in to go check in, and you see through the windows, like you see blue water and everything, and it's really beautiful. And everybody at Rosewood is amazing. Every person we interacted with was stellar, like the best service I've had at any hotel. Booked it through FHR. I think it was like $550 a night. So if you have the $300 credit, $250, but you get the $100, the 2 breakfasts included, which is only $60, which doesn't cover a ton there. But we walk in and they're like, okay, yeah, this looks nice. They didn't have the rooms quite ready, but they gave us one room that had a walk out to the adult pool, and then we had another room like on the 4th floor right above that room with a nice balcony. And walked into the first one, and the kids were like, oh, this is awesome. You just walk out and the pool's there, but it's adults only, so they're not, you have to be 16 or above. So I'm like, no, this isn't for you guys. We gotta go up to your room. And we go up to their
he could make it.
Yeah,
People would think he's okay.
that was it. Like, we're like, all right, we'll see how it goes. Like, the plan was me and Connor stay down in the pool one, and then my wife and my daughter stay at the other one. But we went up there, and they had basically the same type of room, but it had a really nice balcony. I liked their views better. And the pool was so cold, it wasn't heated, so you couldn't even use it. And the sun doesn't really hit there, so it wasn't really the best use. Like, I almost would have preferred theirs, sitting up there overlooking everything. And we walked in, and they had 2 Rosewood Bermuda hats on the on the bed. And I'm like, what the heck? What? This was my wife's room. We booked it in her name. Why didn't I get hats on my bed? Maybe because we got the pool walkout room. And they're like, all right, the wife got screwed a little bit. Let's throw some hats. So my daughter was super excited about those. I'm sure they're like $40 hats. There's a blue one and a white one.
So there you go. Nice surprise. So now we finally got a good hotel. I guess we got to talk about in Bermuda. What did you enjoy? Like the beaches. Everybody knows the beaches, right? The color of the water. You see those videos of it. I've talked about the pink sand, which I think is great. The caves that I didn't get to go to. I hope you got to do those. What else did you get to do that stands out?
Yeah, and there was a couple pools on the property that were nice. One was heated, the adult pool was not. And then you can go down to the beach club, which is like a 5-minute ride. They have a bus coming around all the time. You take the bus. Now there's a steakhouse with a bar attached on property, and that's where you have your breakfast. Off the check-in is another bar / little like tapas, quick bites restaurant. That's beautiful. Like, you have the views of the water, all that stuff. It's kind of open air, but also closed. It's just like, it was a great place. We had a gin tasting there that was complimentary. On Wednesdays, I think they do a rum tasting. So it's just like, service knocked it out of the park. So we spent a couple nights there having some drinks. And then you go down to the beach club. They have a restaurant there that's open late that you can go to, a couple pools, a bar, and then the largest private beach in Bermuda. And it is freaking stunning. Like, the pink sand you hear about, and that's just like pink chunks in the sand. It's not like overly pink, but it's unique. It's like just enough pink. And then the water is the bluest, coolest water I've ever seen anywhere. I'm sure you get it down like Turks and Caicos, similar type of water, but this was just the best looking beach ever. It was a windy day, so we didn't hang out on the beach too much. And then there was jellyfish, or they call them like Portuguese man o' war, everywhere on the beach.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm so happy
They're
that
blue
when I went
too.
there wasn't.
They're like they're like light blue, so you can't even see them in the water. So I'm like, hey, everybody out of the water. I see like 15 of these washed up on shore. Do not go in there.
It's funny with the pink sand. In person, it looks pink, but when you see videos of it, like I look at my videos from when I went to the beach there, and it doesn't look that pink in the video, but in person, it really does look pink. Like you said, it's a pigment. Does it come from the coral or something? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know I looked it up, but yeah, just stunning water, stunning beaches, cooler weather than the Caribbean too, I should say, because it's so much
Yeah.
further north. And I think, you're dealing with the wind and stuff like that, but man, the Caribbean can get so hot sometimes. So I wish I was closer to Bermuda, like for the East Coasters, like you're talking about from New York, a few hour flight. I wonder why more people don't go there instead of down to the Caribbean.
I think it's just that it's expensive. Like the hotels are expensive. There's not a ton of points hotel. If there was a Hyatt that opened there, people would be going right and left all over the place. But they do have flights. Delta has a flight from Atlanta, and then JFK has the flight. Charlotte has a flight, and Miami has a flight for on American. So there's plenty of good ways to get there from the East Coast in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's a great flight. I can't wait to go back, but. Yeah, the beach was the most stunning beach I've ever seen. Everybody said come like late May, early June, somewhere in that time where it's not quite full rainy, but it's really warm. It was a bit cooler. It was like 70 and windy when we were there. The last day, it was really nice, but we didn't get to spend much time there. But there's a kids pool at the beach club, and then there's like 14 or 13 and above pool there as well. Not the greatest pools. I think the nicest pool is the heated one at the hotel. It has like a view out off a cliff and stuff, and it's an infinity edge pool. So that was really nice. And then the bartender told us to go to the Crystal Caves, which is like a 5-minute ride away, right by the Swizzle Inn, which is famous. And then there's Bailey's Ice Cream, which is like the most famous ice cream place. So we took the ride down there, did the Crystal Caves, super cool, amazing. Like 2 boys that were like 12 back in the 1800s, maybe early 1900s, found it because their cricket ball fell down a hole, and they grabbed 100-foot of rope and went down into this cave, and they opened it up to tours the next year.
I love it. Yeah, I saw pictures of it. I had never heard of it, but when I was there, I saw pictures of it on some tourist thing, and I was like, "Oh my god, I want to go!" And we just didn't have enough time in our day, so I'm glad to hear it measures up, and I'll definitely do it next time I go. But yeah, I mean, so we talked hotels, we talked beaches. Any other takeaways? And then how did you get back? Because I know we talked about you
Yeah.
changing your flight, but it's a good thing you did. Or yeah, how did that all work?
Yeah, the Crystal Caves was well worth it. It was like $20 a person. I think my daughter was 10 because she was just at that 12-year-old cutoff. But the cool thing, so you're walking through the cave, and it looks like things under the water are pretty close to the surface, but there's like a foot of regular water on top of salt water, so it adds like a magnifying glass. So hopefully Sean's throwing it up now. There's what they call a lighthouse of rocks that it looks like it's 4 feet under the water. He said you could jump in there, stand on top of it, and you'd still be 20 feet below the water. It goes 40 feet deep, but you could see all the way down the bottom clearly. There's this one section where there's a passport down there, 2 iPhones, a couple flashlights, a whole bunch of other things that people go to pull out their phone and fall into the water, and they just don't go get it. Like if it falls in, you're screwed. So there's like a legit passport that you can see sitting on the bottom, which was cool. Right next to it on the property is Cafe Olay. That had the best fish sandwich in the area, according to the bartender. We ate there. It was great. It was more like a locals little place. So I definitely encourage you to check it out if you are up in that area. And then you can walk over to the Swizzle Inn, walk over to Bailey's for ice cream. We did the ice cream. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait to go back. It was like you said, the people, every person was amazing. Everybody was so excited that we were there. It was not busy. And yeah, I think we were in the off season, but it was still spring break. And I don't know that it ever gets fully busy. Maybe it just feels that way. Like it's not crowded like some other Caribbean islands. Everybody's like, oh, do you hear like ads for Bermuda? Like all the cab drivers, and everybody that's a cab driver has lived there their whole life, which is crazy. And they're like, do you hear ads for Bermuda? I'm like, no, never. I never see a Bermuda ad. Like we get Bahamas, all that stuff. No Bermuda ads. And they're like, what are we spending our money on?
Yeah, I don't think well, I obviously don't live anywhere where they'd be targeting stuff, but yeah, I mean, I had the same feeling, just not knowing what to expect in Bermuda. Obviously, I only got a day there, and just loving it and being like, when can I come back? Because everything I did, the people, the experience, the beaches, it was just such a cool day. And a place that you hear about, we talk Bermuda Triangle, the Beach Boys songs, whatever. So it's a place that name you've known since you were a kid, since you were like a baby probably. And then you finally get there.
Yeah, and the food was really good. I think it's kind of like a foodie type of scene. Breakfast at Rosewood, like my son got the steak and eggs, and the steak was like seasoned amazing. It was $50, so we ate up most of our free breakfast or whatever, and we billed it back to each room to get the $60 on each room. That's another tip I should share. You can't stack them back to back to get the $100, but me having one room in my name and then my wife having a room in her name, we did get the $100 on each room. Which was cool. And we did get the free breakfast the whole time. And then when we were doing the gin tasting, back to that a bit, it was like 3 different kinds of gin. It was free. All that stuff was fun. But the guy we were sitting next to works for a construction company that's redoing the other Fairmont, which is across from Horseshoe Bay. And that place has been there, but they've been remodeling it for a while. I think they put like 400 million into it. And he said it's going to be epic. He showed me some pictures right across from Horseshoe Bay, the most famous beach in Bermuda. They're going to have their own little private beach club next to Horseshoe Bay that's going to blow everything out of the water, he said. Showed me pictures of that. Looks incredible. So that you can use your Accord points. So I'm saving up my Accord points. That's where I'm going to go back and stay. I would love to use an FHR at Rosewood again, but I think keep on the lookout for that. He also said he got called in. He's got to go to Baha Mar, the oldest part of the hotel they want to remodel. So that's probably going to be happening pretty soon too.
Yeah, that's super weird. I guess, it's, what is it? Almost 10 years old or 10 years old at Baha Mar. So I guess, in a super luxury hotel, like
it seemed perfect when we were there though. Like last year, I don't think it needs any updating, but he said they're calling him in, but he lives at the Rosewood when he goes like a couple days a month to oversee everything. And the owner of the Rosewood is the same owner that owns the Fairmont that they're remodeling. So he always gets put up there because they're like, hey, we don't have to pay for it then. So I think it's going to be top notch, like same company. I think that Fairmont's going to be the best place, one of the best places in any island in the Caribbean.
And the Horseshoe Bay is just an incredible beach. I loved it. It's busy, as you say. It's the most popular beach there, but I spent many hours in the water there swimming and loved it. So yeah, getting home, too many AA lounges. Any other things to wrap up on this trip? How did that go?
Yeah, so we flew home into JFK, was fine. Went back to that same lounge again, felt like we lived there. Then flew into DCA, went to the lounge there, and we had a pretty long layover, like a 3 or 4 hour layover at DCA, but that lounge was pretty nice. So we're hanging out there, and I hadn't checked the board. I should have checked the board earlier to see if we could hop an earlier flight, but I didn't remember any of them being like in a time that we would have made it. So we're going to leave to go to our gate, and I get a text that the flight's been delayed 2 hours, and I'm like, oh crap. There was storms, like electrical storms on the East Coast, or lightning storms on the East Coast, I should say. So everything was delayed for a bit, and I'm like, I know what's going to happen. This is going to get canceled, or we're going to be here till like 2 a.m. So I look at the board, and I see a flight that was supposed to leave at 4 has been delayed, and now it's not leaving until like 8, and it's 7:50. Our boarding starts at 8. It's 7:50. So I go up to the lounge agent. I'm like, hey, I need to get on the 8 o'clock flight, like the one that's been delayed. And originally she goes, okay, 8 o'clock flight. And she goes, oh, you're already on that flight. I'm like, no, that flight got delayed. I need to go on the one that was at 4 o'clock, but is now leaving at 8 o'clock. And she calls down there. She's like, do you have any seats left? And he's like, yeah, they already boarded their standby. And he's like, yeah, we still have seats left. So she booked us. We got the last row all the way across the row, which was kind of cool. All 4 of us walked on just as they were closing the door. And we pulled back, and as we're pulling back, I get the text that our original flight had been canceled and was rebooked for 7:30 in the morning. So we would have got stuck there overnight. And I just looked at my family and say, you cannot thank me enough. Like, you owe me.
But you're the one who gave them the extra connection and got them into that in the first place.
Yeah, but LaGuardia would have probably been the same storms. That probably
no, we don't know that.
Too.
You should have checked it.
Yeah,
you should have checked it.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Dad got you into this mess, but he got you out of it. So no,
Yep.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, see, there you go. That's actually showing you where proactive thinking on your feet saves you, right?
Yeah.
And so you get the good and the bad with it. And that is a good tip, though, because just look for any flights, because as you said, you probably searched, you saw the regular flight times. So in your own head, You're not thinking, oh, there's a flight that works. But it got delayed too. If your flight's getting delayed, maybe the one before it got delayed, and then you can hop on. And I think the other tip there is the lounge agents are much nicer than trying to talk to
Oh
a
yeah.
regular random customer service person.
Yeah, and she called down to the gate agent, and he was printing up things as we walked up and stuff. So lounge agents are always the way to go. If you have access, like they're worth their weight in gold when you need help.
Yeah, exactly. And on American, if you don't get a lounge agent,
Yeah,
I don't know what you're.
especially American.
I think they train the customer service reps not to help you if you go to the regular desk with American. But yeah, it sounds like a crazy trip. Like, oh, we're just gonna do a nice simple spring break in Bermuda, and then it turned into some crazy stuff. But the way I take it is you fell in love with the place.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, you do miss kind of like the Bahamas, like it's a little bit seedier, a little bit more authentic feeling, and so you miss a little bit of that, and like where they have little beach shacks, like on the right next to the beach, they just walk up to, have a beer, staring at the water, and maybe there are those in Bermuda. We didn't get to explore as much as I would have liked because we lost a full day on the island. But I want to go back, and if there are all those places, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to check them out. But I did miss that aspect of a little bit, but it was that hotel, Rosewood, top 3 of any hotel I've ever stayed at in terms of service, beauty, all that stuff. Really enjoyed it there.
And it was what, $300 cheaper per night than the Fairmont. So
Yeah.
what does that
Well,
say?
to me, I mean, we were all in one room and we had 2 rooms at this one, so they were in the same realm of each other. But yeah, like I wouldn't have felt ripped off if I paid I would never pay $500 for a room. But if I walked into that room for $500, I would not have felt ripped off like I did walking into the $850 room.
So there you go. Yeah, let us know. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have been to Bermuda, and share down in the comments your favorite things to do. And people who find this video later can do that. What are your favorite hotels? Or, where have you stayed when you go there? Have you run into similar issues trying to land in Bermuda? Everything else, leave a comment. But yeah, you're always going to remember this spring break because of all the fun. If it was just a no nonsense trip to Bermuda, it would be forgettable.
No, everybody really wants to go back. They're very excited to go back. And my wife's like, well, maybe this Bahamas seems like a family place. They got a water park. This seems more like a couple's place. We're going to leave the kids home. My daughter almost lost her ish.
Twice in a show, he didn't curse just to save me from having to beep it out. Can we believe that? Can we believe that? It's a great thing. So let us know down in the comments what you think about Bermuda, everything Mark went through, your great tips for that. We do 2 shows a week. We'll be back on Thursday with all the miles and points news, everything going on there. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can check us out on Vegas, talking all about the Vegas news and happenings, all the fun stuff there. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.